All right. Good morning. So, first thing I want to mention today is I'm trying to change my screen sharing so that it is a little bit more seamless. So, it may take a moment for me to get used to it, but I think it's going to be better. So, we'll test it out in a little bit. Quite a lot to talk about this morning. First of all, we'll just talk about the market quickly. So I learned something quite important yesterday. So if we go to yesterday, my overnight range was drawn to here because the overnight range is the price between midnight to 7 a.m. This is midnight through to 7 a.m. So this is the overnight range. Now, the thing with the overnight range is it massively affects my trading decisions. So if we're within the overnight range, I'm very cautious, very, very cautious. Often I'd rather just not trade at all. But as you'll see here, looking at the overnight range, we had a big sell-off in the middle of the night at 1 a.m. But then from 1:45 to 7, we were in this tight consolidation. So really, my overnight range, and I only realized this reviewing the session afterwards, my overnight range should have been down here. The way I would have traded yesterday would have been completely different had my overnight range have been here. So if we go back to yesterday, so this is yesterday's session on the 1 minute chart. All of this was in the overnight range yesterday. So I was very cautious about trying to trade along. And in fact, I was actually looking to short the market, which was a mistake in itself, which we'll go into in a little bit. However, if my overnight range had been down here, this would have been a great session. It would have been very, very clear because we had resistance up at yesterday's lows up here, and we would have been looking to trade longs into that. So we would have had a breakout above the overnight range with this candle, a retest, and then follow through. So we would have been long either on this candle or this candle. This would have been a great trade. We then had further consolidation, where we then had a breakout, retest, and then we would have been long either on this candle or this candle. Again, would have been a great trade. However, because the overnight range was up here, I didn't take those trades. And in fact, I was actually doing the opposite, expecting the market to go down. So in future, starting from today, I'm going to be much more careful over where I place my overnight range, because that completely changed my view of the market. Now, that sort of big overnight sell-off doesn't happen very often, which is why I've never encountered this issue before. But there was obviously something going on in the middle of the night, whether it was some sort of huge market manipulation or whether it was something that was going on in the Asian market. Something was affecting the DAX massively for about an hour in the middle of the night, and that completely threw off the way I drew the chart. So that's a lesson learned. Today's overnight range, much more simple, much more clear cut. Nothing funky going on. And then that moves into mistake number 2. And this is where I just need to change my screen sharing. So if you bear with, so I go like that, and then I go like this. So then there's no dragging around. So this was my trading model. This is what I was sort of looking at every morning and trying to follow. And it was 10 slides. We've been through this before. We don't need to go through it. It was 10 slides, including 3 different strategies. Now, I spent some time yesterday really going through this and working out, okay, what is actually needed out of all this stuff? What is actually making me money? And I got down to this, 4 slides. So I've gone from 10 to 4. So I've reduced my process by 60% in terms of how much shit I'm trying to think of at once. So now we only have one strategy, the breakout retest, which is what we've talked about the most. It's what we've traded the most. It's what's made the majority of our money. That is all I'm trading now. That is all I'm trading. Because it's all I need to trade. For me to become an elite trader, I need to master one thing first before trying anything else. So yesterday, I was trying to trade a reversal. That was a mistake. I should have been looking to trade breakout retests, and that is all I will be doing today. So that is the strategy. It's a very, very simple 3-step approach where we looked for the market to break consolidation. We look to retest the consolidation. We're calling this the battle zone. I will get to this later. Video I watched the other day that really went deep into this strategy. And then we want to see follow through, and then we enter, and that's it. It's easy for me now, through having practiced it a lot, to identify these things. Then we've got our trade management, stop loss placement. When we move stop loss to break even, taking half of all profits. We learned on Monday it's best to take full profit. It's quicker if we're within the overnight range, whereas if we're outside the overnight range, take half, let it run. And then this is our account management. This is what's going to keep us in business. Never losing more than 1 hour per day. We did well yesterday because we stopped. We didn't keep trading. I think I would have lost more money had I kept trading yesterday because I had the wrong idea about what the market was doing. I was looking for the wrong things. Blah, 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 blah. So then that leads on to my data collection. Because now I've got a much clearer system, much more simple system. I can really go deep into it. And what I want to have is this time next year, I want to have much more extensive data collected. So I've added a lot of extra cells. All these existing trades, the 21 trades I've made so far, next week I will go back through the charts and fill in all the bank cells with this new data that I want to collect. I want to have a year's worth of data, so I mean, we've done almost 2 weeks of trade. So let's say it's 10 trades a week. Let's say, after 50 weeks, it's going to be 500 trades, which is going to be enough data to actually get some meaningful outcomes from it. I then want to give it into AI, give it to ChatGPT, and ask it to run a whole load of statistical tests, looking for patterns of when I'm making money, losing money, blah, 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 blah. I want to get a whole load of data analysis and statistical analysis done next year. But for that data to be useful, it needs to be collected on one strategy, because every strategy is going to have a different risk reward, a different profit expectancy, different win rate, all that sort of stuff. Okay, so I need to just trade one single strategy. So what I've added a discretionary setup grading. So before I enter the trade, I'm going to rate from A to F what I actually feel like this setup is. Is it an A an A+ setup. This is a once a month, I have to take it. This is the best trade. Is this sort of a C setup where it's like, okay, I'm not even sure if I should be taking this, but I am because it technically ticks all the boxes. So we've got setup grading, direction, long or short, because I may find that I'm actually better at trading longs, or I might be better at trading shorts, but I'm not going to know unless I actually track that. Location relative to the overnight range. So am I better at trading below, above, or within the overnight range? Points from VWAP, meaning am I making better trades when the price is nearer or further away from the average price? I'm not going to go into the nitty gritty of why I'm getting that, but that is quite important to know. Rather than just putting in an average price that I exit at, write down all my exits, because then I can really go through sort of my risk reward for when I take half profit, 75% and full profit. My points made or lost as a ratio of the average true range. So does the overall volatility of the market affect how much I'm making or losing? Because that will then help me know exactly when I should be taking profit, depending on the level of volatility of the session. And then the final thing I've added in, max drawdown. So if let's say I make a trade, I risk 20 points, I make 20 points. How far into drawdown did I get before I made my profit? Because that will then help me refine my entries. Am I entering too early, too late, or is it pretty good? And ChatGPT will be able to tell me exactly what's going on, but I need the data. So I'm really, really adamant, really focused on this next year, just trading those setups, breakout, retest. And it's hard. That's going to be the hardest thing about the next year. It's not about making money. The making money should come quite easy if I just follow my rules. The hard bit is sticking to an incredibly repetitive system. That's really my job. My job is not to make money, it's just to follow the system. So anyway, let's get into the charts of the day. So we are sat above the overnight range. We're sat about 30, 40 points off of yesterday's highs. So we're essentially looking for some sort of breakout retest above the highs of today and the highs of yesterday. Another thing I want to do is change my screen before I enter my trades rather than after, because currently you're not actually seeing my executions. You're just seeing the trade once I've entered it. So I'm going to try and, when I am looking like I'm going to enter a trade, I'm going to try and share that TD365 screen beforehand. So yesterday was my first losing day on stream. I mean, it was a very small loss in relative terms. One good trade will make up for it and more. Losing days are not a problem as long as I'm following my rules, because it's really just a matter of data collection. Every trade is just another data point, which is going to help to refine over time. But my focus really is on just following this very simple process. I've, for the sake of trying to have stuff to talk about, I've been trying to talk more about different things that are going on in the market in terms of real world events and that sort of stuff, where that shit is really close to irrelevant. It's very close to being completely irrelevant for me, because I'm trading such short time frames. Such short time frames. But what that means is there's often not much to talk about. There's often really not much to talk about. So if there are periods of silence, then so be it. But what I feel like I've sort of been doing the last couple of days is almost overthinking and confusing myself due to trying to find stuff to talk about. When really, if I'm doing this well, this is going to be rather boring, but very profitable. That's essentially what this should be. And then if I do this right, this time next year, we'll be looking back on it with 500 or so data points, a whole load of useful analysis to help us refine and improve for the following year. And also, if I do all that properly, I should also come out of it with lots of money. But that money needs to be a byproduct of following said process. I'm reading a book called Atomic Habits, which is all about building very strong systems within yourself to develop very strong habits that will then lead to successful outcomes. So focus on the process versus the outcome, essentially, which is not a new idea, but the way this book is phrasing it and explaining it is extremely good. It's one of the traders I've learnt from. It's one of their favorite books. So that's where I've got that recommendation from. And I can see why, because it's not a trading book at all. It doesn't mention trading once in the book, as far as I'm aware, but it's completely tied to any sort of business you're trying to create, or any sort of sport trying to be successful at. It's incredibly applicable. So the market currently holding if we break down lower, then we would be looking to trade breakouts below the overnight range. So for now, this overnight range is a no trade zone. Yesterday, the market did fall, as I was really expecting. But this is part of the problem with over-analyzing the market, is that whether the market's going to go up or down throughout the day is completely irrelevant to me making money. Because yes, it did go down, but it didn't go down while I was trading. So this is sort of part of the reason why I really need to stop talking about the broader market and just focus on these short-term patterns. But the market did move down, and it did test twice 24,000 again and held, came down to a low of 24,000.5 before rallying higher. And it doesn't take a genius to expect that to happen, but I'm not a trader that sits here all day. If I'd have sat here all day, then I could have traded this move down, and then I could have then traded the reversal up. But that's not what I do. So it's sort of pointless speculating about it, even if I'm correct. because all that does is reinforce a bias which is not going to help you make money. So we've got some real strong support building here, real strong support, a very clear consolidation area. We've got our first green 5-minute candle. Another thing I'm going to stop doing is I'm going to focus less on higher time frames while I'm trading. So I'll use the higher time frames in the morning to pick out the key levels and all that sort of stuff. But in terms of my actual trading, I'm just going to really focus on the 1 minute and the 5 minute. Because again, the higher time frames very rarely are going to be relevant to me making money, given that I'm only holding trades for, 1 to 5 minutes generally. So far, my laptop has been far less laggy this morning. I can actually move it around smoothly, which is much nicer. That was really annoying the last few days. I don't know if that's to do with changing how I'm sharing the screen. So far we're just about break even for the week. I think we might be down about a tenner or something. But this may as well be Monday today, as far as our account balance is concerned. Last week was a huge performance. We made about £800 last week, maybe slightly more, 850, which is, relative to what I was risking, it's like 7R or something. It's it's crazy. So we're sitting in a very good position on the account right now. Very good position. I'm going to try and change my screen. Here we go. So now you should be seeing TD365, hopefully. Now the reason you're seeing it is because I'm potentially looking at making a trade in a moment, a breakout above the consolidation area. We will see where this candle closes. Okay, I'm long the DAX. On a breakout above the consolidation. It's not looking great. Damn, that was really looking bullish. Looks like we might be getting stopped out. Yeah, we've been stopped out. It's fine. It's not a big loss, but interesting. So the trade idea there was, again, I'm hoping you can see this, was we've got consolidation. We've made a higher low here and then closed at the highs. Potentially should have had a stop loss below the low. But that was only a half loss, so it's not. It's not a disaster. We can always re-enter if the market rallies again. I think you can see the screen. Yeah. Okay, I'm long the DAX again. I'm going to quickly change which screen I'm showing you. Show you why. So this is for me, extremely strong consolidation, and we've just closed above VWAP. And the 5-minute chart, we've had a prior bar low. Just hovering around break even right now. Every time we hold the lows, it gets sort of, the narrative gets stronger. We're currently in profit. You just need the market to try and break out and push a higher high. And we'll see if it manages it. Certainly trying. Certainly trying now. See if the market can sustain it. Trade's looking quite good now. Closed half. And closed full position. That was a good trade. Good trade, but we are break even for the morning. Actually, almost exactly break even for the morning. So that was the same idea. Both of those trades were the exact same idea. So we entered. Let's have a look exactly where we entered. So first trade, 8.19. So first trade we entered here, looking for a breakout above. We got stopped out. We re-entered 8.23 here. Again, the exact same concept. That time it worked. Following the rules, one win, one loss. So moving on, the market is now at a point where things could start to get interesting because we're coming up towards the high of the day. So we want to see a breakout and then a retest. Just like down here, we were looking for a breakout retest, exactly the same, but happening at the high of the day is a more enticing place for the market to be. See, the thing with trading just this strategy is that I'm far more confident when it comes to executions. I can lose a trade, but then re-enter again with complete confidence because this strategy, I trust the back testing I've done, but I just don't. Yesterday, trying to trade the reversal, that's why I stopped after that first trade. I just didn't trust myself in what I was doing. So now essentially we're not interested in making any more trades unless the market can push above this high of day. But the market certainly looks like it's having a very good go at it. So for the week, again, we're still basically on break even. Which I would say isn't all too surprising given the price action. Although yesterday really, with the mindset I now have, yesterday should have been a good day. But, you know, that's sort of, those losing days are so valuable to my long-term improvement. I want to try and improve more from my good days though as well, and that's why I want to become so much more focused on collecting data, because then every trade is a useful trade, not just the losing trades. So the market's now consolidating up here at the highs, and that's, if it can hold this consolidation, then that's a good sign, because that's you know, we've had a consolidation, we've broken out, we made that trade, good trade, we took profit at the high, and now we're consolidating up at these highs. So we took profit at the absolutely correct time. So we're now right near the top of this big block, this big range here, right at the top of it. You know, we had that breakout on Thursday that was very short-lived, moving right back in on Friday. The question now is, are we going to revert back down, or are we going to break above? If we do break higher this morning, that's potentially going to be a really good breakout retest trade. So we've had a prior bar low on the 5-minute. Buyers stepping in. So looks like the market may try and break out. We want to see a clear break of this level. We're not going to chase after it. And then we want to let the market come back in. So the resistance here, as you can see marked on the chart, is Friday's low. So last Friday, wherever it is here, last Friday we made this low before bouncing. And then on Tuesday actually, overnight, we then fell back in, and now the market is trying its best to break back into last week's price action. And that's why I see this as quite a pivotal level, potentially offer a good trade. I'm going to go ahead and change screens. Need to be wary that up here we've also got yesterday's high, which could act as resistance. So we need to be wary of that. We've just bounced off of sellings coming in at the current high of day. It's already 20 to 9. Oh, this session has gone quick today. Quick. So I mentioned first thing this morning, the battle zone. So that is when at key levels you get price accumulating, and then there becomes a real tussle to see which side is going to win. And that's what we're seeing here. You know, if this price action was happening down here, then there'd be no interest at all. But it's the fact that we've got it happening right at the highs. That is suggesting that we could potentially, if the buyers win, get a breakout long. If the buyers fail and the losers push us back into the range, then so be it, and there's nothing for us to do. So the market's currently trying really hard to hold the Friday's low. It's right where we are now. So we've still not had a breakout yet. We've still not had a breakout. We're still trying, but we need to see a clean breakout and then a retest. I don't want to chase the market and risk entering on a false breakout. Wow, buying immediately coming in off the close of that red candle. So is this going to be our breakout? Yes, it is. So we want to see the market break. We want to see it hold, because that's confirmation that, okay, the buyers, there's some strength. And then at some point, there will be an attempt to push the market back in, and then we want to go long. So we've just double topped at the high of day. Again, the sellers are pushing us back in. This is why we're not chasing. This is why we need to see a successful breakout first. Sellers are taking control again. Buyers. It's really a real tussle going on. Is this going to be it, perhaps? Looks like it. So this is our breakout. If we can hold, we want to let the market go. We want to let it go. Then we want to see some sort of retest of this area in a minute. So we're coming up to, we're 5 points away from yesterday's high, which could also act as possible resistance. Yesterday's high was just around here. It does seem to be that is what the market is reacting to right now. As I always say with this, there's always a chance of the market moving away from us and not giving us a chance to enter. But I keep saying that, but that hasn't happened yet, I don't think. On stream. Happened plenty of times earlier this year. I don't think it's happened yet live. Okay. So I would now consider this to be our retest of the consolidation area. The difficult thing is, you can't see it, but the high of yesterday is literally about 2 points above where we currently sit. And that is a precarious place to go long. Very, very precarious. Going long right at a resistance level is not my favorite thing to do. It's not my favorite thing to do. Oh, man. So far, very glad I've not gone long and chased the market. We're getting a pretty decent sized retracement here. Here's the 5-minute chart, just so you can see what's going on. So we've just sort of wicked higher above today's high, but we have not broken yesterday's high, and we're now coming back in. We've now got a prior bar low on this 5-minute chart. We'll see if maybe this is going to be the retest that's needed, or maybe we're just going to be range bound for the morning, and that's going to be that. We will find out. Also got VWAP as a potential retest, which we're coming down to, but this isn't looking so good now. Tricky week. Down we go. So the other trade today is a breakout retest short. Wow, this is an aggressive 5-minute candle. Wow. Whoa. Okay. I'm glad we were not long. Look at that. Boom. Boom, boom. See you later. So trading the short side isn't quite as simple as the long side today, because we're back into the overnight range now, where it's just messy down there. It's messy. There's a lot of support. Okay. We are really rocking and rolling down. That is very interesting. I mean, that 1 5-minute candle alone has wiped out. I mean, that's covered the entire session's range. 1 5-minute candle literally covered the entire thing. If buyers can claw back that entire move now, that would be quite impressive. So we're testing VWAP here. It's not quite there, but it's around there. Oh. Coming up to the close of the first hourly candle. It's looking like it's going to close in the red. That's a very strong 5-minute candle following that sell-off. But there's there's nothing for me to do right now. The market's just not moving in any sort of logical pattern at all. I think we're going to have to just stay away unless the market can break out of this range. yeah, it would be silly to trade in this current market. I've never traded this Christmas week before, so I wasn't live trading until the start of this year. It's shaping up to be a week that I might take off next year. Market's looking to retest the lows again. Be interesting to see if we just hold the level again. I mean, this level's been rock solid so far. The sellers are definitely more aggressive at the moment than the buyers.
are you, right? No, well, no, it's going to get worse later on tomorrow. No, it's true. Yeah, I know it's very soon. I've had a couple of good days, but I'm now. I had a couple of good days, so I've spoke to that Eric guy as well from the Watford place. We met at the show. So I said, you have to come back to those other little labels. You know, those ones that are going to go on like the oven packets. Like they'd be 270 degrees. Anyway, he said, your brother said, I'm going to email you that an hour with some more info. So anyway, I spoke to Dale yesterday. I said, this is the most I can get. They're not better made than before. It's a new project. I said, I'll send it over. Could you have a look? I said, I understand that you might not get given me absolute to the millimetre exactly what the cost would be, but keep it possible to do a ballpark price. So he said, send it over. He said, I'm at the office today, so I don't need it till really Friday. So he's going to have a look at it. So yeah, we'll use it on that. So yeah. No, there isn't a sample because they've never made it before, to be honest. It's a new, he understands, yeah, I did chat with him yesterday. He seemed quite engaging. So yeah, no. It's, yeah, as you say, it's now looking for right now. But the other person I did try and get hold of was your mate at the time. She did answer. I just let her know she wished her a Merry Christmas. Just said thanks for your recent direct orders. I thought she would let know after a positive conversation with Buzz that now completely disappeared. Where we're getting not doing any business. So maybe yeah. So I just don't quite understand Buzz as well. I'm very good at it. I think she's gone out for us on her own. We've had a nice sort of conversation. She's gone in there. And then she's probably got it. Someone probably said to him, we've got to go. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like she said, you look like, look. I said, there's all that. We've got to do business and see what we can do. We've got to come down and see you. Or... No, absolutely.
The problem with the breakout short is that it's difficult to really define exactly where we're breaking out from and where we're breaking out to. I mean, that's undeniably a breakout there. Let's see. Okay, so I want to see the market sustain some lower prices first before retracement. Otherwise, this could just be a case of buyers coming in below and bringing us back into the range, because that's what we had up here. You know, we had sellers come in above, back into the range. We're now below. If the buyers win, then we're going to still be in the range. But if the sellers can take control, that's where our strategy can come into play. So I would not consider this a breakout because we've still closed inside the range. You know, the wicks can be misleading. It's the body that I want to see close in the red. That's when we've got that confirmation of a breakout, right? So we want to see a close down here, some follow through, and then retest this level. Retest the level. So sort of, not really though. Still not really closed below. So again, that's why I'm not chasing the shorts. The buyers definitely aren't out of the woods just yet. So we're still within the overnight range. We're still we're sort of right now at the top of the overnight range. So this is the level that we'll see if the buyers are really going to keep us back in the range, because this is now that test of the overnight range high.
Question. If we had a customer that's large enough wanting to have a proof of cost, is that physically possible? Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, it would be a cost. If tax basically is necessary, why all their expertise. And I think they want to bear the cost of what it costs. So I presume it's someone who's technically good for it because it was profitable, I suppose. Yeah. Well, I think you know it. Yeah, good. Factory ready. I'm always pleased when people say things that you guys do because it's what you do it, you know what I mean? So it's sort of, yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, well, a couple of good days, not a couple of days, but it's not just days, but obviously, sort of getting on with it. All right, well, I'll leave that with you. Thank you very much. Yeah, oh, you're sort of, your kids are excited, aren't they? All those? I'll get Paul to do some inquiries on the white box.
Yeah, there's really nothing to do here. Really nothing to do.
Yeah, have a look, see what they want, and then we'll be in contact. Yeah, yeah, 'cause sometimes you presume it'll be cheaper and it's expensive, and sometimes you presume it's expensive. You know, yeah, we could. We didn't even think
I'm going to leave it till past.
No, I do. I know. Yeah.
A really bad market to trade today.
Yeah, you get some numbers you can get. Best off sending to Claire as well as me, because she's cheaper than the factory. I'll be honest, that's pretty mental, though. It's one of the top numbers in January. However, yeah. Yeah, the numbers are what you want on the product. And there was nothing.
Ooh, did not mean to do that. Oh, Jesus. Don't have to get rid of that. What is that? Oh, there it is.
Well, no, I spoke to Paul. You can get a box. I said, look, I don't know what the box is. For a big one, well, I know from how many Paul, what colours, so on and so
So the way this market's trading this week, all that matters is we don't end the week with a heavy loss. That's all that matters. Market's just rejected VWAP there. Okay, well, that is interesting. That is interesting.
Well, it looks the world is very much today. Normally it's quite well.
Okay, well we're breaking out. We are breaking lower. Now it's a case of trying to work out how we can get a good entry. That is not going to be easy because this is a very messy market this morning. Okay, I'm short the DAX. Stop loss above. So stop loss is above the overnight range and above the high of the current 15-minute candle. The target is down here. 15-minute candles actually better to look at. So the idea is that we've had an attempted breakout and a lower high. Currently, the market is looking very weak. Now, of course, could the market just whip back into the range? Yes, but we are now clearly below the lows of the session. And we're now clearly in a downtrend with lower highs. Now, how would I grade this setup? Probably a C, because it does tick all my boxes, but I'm not going to pretend like it's a dream trade. But if we lose it, we simply log it. And that goes to inform our decisions in the future. I'll be back in a minute. We appear to have made another lower high. I'd love to see the market break this level here. It's trying. Okay. So this is a bit of an abnormal position, really, because I am, the profit target's quite a long way down. I will take profit, half profit at some point, but it's one of those trades where I'm more looking towards the 15-minute chart on my other screen than I am looking at the 1 minute. We have just tagged yesterday's open price. I'm hoping that doesn't become support. We'll just have to wait and see. It's one of those days, just wait and see. Okay. Stop loss to break even. Taking half profit. I'm hoping you're watching the screen where I'm actually trading. Yes, you are. closed 3/4. Okay. I'm out of the position. £77 profit there. So not much. What I'm looking at is whether this is a retest now. Because we've had our breakout and we're now retesting. We'll see if this is a retest or if this is an actual reversal. Because if this is a retest, then this could actually be the trade that we've been waiting for. So you see the market's coming back into this level here. So this is now, if this does sell back off, this is now sort of our, I wouldn't call it an A setup, but maybe a B plus. Should this reverse back down. So we're now slightly in profit for the week. Slightly. But that was a perfectly good trade, perfectly good entry. Unfortunately, the previous day open did prove to be support. But we might actually be thanking that in a minute if we can sell back off. So then that would be potentially really good trade. So breakout, retest the previous lows, and then sell further. But we need to see at least one strong red candle closing below these levels. Wonder if this could be the candle. Needs to close below. It's been a serious exercise of patience today and continues to be. Very glad I held off there. It's very tempting to short. We want to see follow through. Oh,
Right, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm in my office at the moment. Yeah, really. He's in the park, he's fucking down. And he only ever plays me, only ever wants to play me like near Christmas. He's often stuff together. So I said, you know, I said, you think I'm playing I'm playing, I'm playing but if you think I'm going around off the match, I think people don't know how to work. He never asked for games in the summer when we're playing the pocket. You know what I mean? I think you play for a English, no, he's back to you, mate. So, yeah, yeah.
So what we're looking for is some clear bearish follow through. But at the moment, it's not looking like it. It's not looking like it. Did well not to enter, to be honest. Did very well not to enter. Still in this lower level. We're not, you know, it's not. Certainly still could happen. We really want to be confident though when we enter. So we're trying to come down again. One minute until the close of the hourly candle. We're looking like we're going to close. Be interesting if we close below the low of the previous candle. I'm not really expecting to make any more trades now. I'm just watching just in case, because if we do get a move down, and that is our breakout, retest, you know, it's there. Okay, let's see where this candle closes. my microphone was muted by accident. I apologise. So I'm short the DAX here on a breakout retest. So we broke out below the lows of the day. We've come back in, we've consolidated, and now the idea is that we're breaking out short again, this time with the target being at the low. At the closing price of yesterday. This is my best setup of the day so far. Doesn't mean it's going to win, but it means this is maybe a B+. This is a B+ trade. If this was below the overnight range, it would be an A+. It's going to get the B. Obviously, does not mean it's going to work. I don't have much insight to offer besides the fact that lower high, lower high, lower high, hopefully a lower high. And that's, we've had a very clear level, got clearly broken. I mean, just have to let it play out. Log the trade and then just let it become another data point. But there is without a doubt an argument to be made, a question of, is it worth, even if this is a valid setup and even if this works, is it worth my time? Wait until 10 past 10 for the market to do anything. Yeah, so regardless of the outcome of this trade, I don't think the question is whether, I don't think the important question is whether or not this trade's a valid trade. I think the question is it worth my time trading these market conditions? Because the market has been really active up to really the last 2 weeks when I started streaming. And it's a question of, is there any point at all in me waiting until until 10:15 just to, end the day break even or in a small loss? Because that's all it's going to be today. It's a small loss, but it feels It feels unnecessary. It feels highly, highly unnecessary. I think I need a routine for trading a good market and a routine for trading a dead market. So if I get to 9 a.m. and I think this really just isn't what I want to see, just stop there. You know, if the market's really great and I've already made a good trade, then, you know, you can carry on. Food for thought. Food for thought going into next year, for sure, because as far as I'm concerned, the less time I can sit here, the better. You know, the more efficient my trading can be, the better. But anyway, we end the day on a small loss. Nothing in any way significant. One good trade, and we'll be back in profit for the week. So that's that really. But thank you for joining. Maybe tomorrow will be more interesting. If it's not more interesting tomorrow, my plan is going to be to just stop trading much earlier. But we'll see.